Thank you and welcome to the country focus on Turkey. Today, this will be interesting because we have 5 key market players with us today who are going to tell us lots about all the different aspects of this market, which is actually a growth market, which we're going to see in some charts in a moment. I'd like to remind you that this panel is live and you are very welcome to submit your questions you may have to our panelists through the chat box you can see in the bottom of this session, and please do so throughout this session, and we will address these things as they are most suited in the discussion. And now I'd like to welcome the guests we have today. Ziad Varol from Türk Telekom. Hi. We
Hi.
have Baris Zaragorov from Turkcell TV Plus.
Hi, welcome.
We have Mustafa Alpay from Blue TV.
Hello.
We have Merit Yilmaz from Vodafone TV.
Hi.
And we have Thijs Bilveld from Metrological.
Thanks, Jaren. Happy to be here.
Thanks. And we are very excited about the next 50 minutes that we have. 5 people and 50 minutes. I think this makes sense. As I said, first, we are going to have a very quick look at the development of the Turkish market, because what we're focusing on today is the TV and the streaming market in Turkey. I'll share my screen for you, and so you can have a very brief look at the things happening here. We can see the pay TV market development past 15 years in millions, subscriber numbers going up, and OTT in thousands going up as well. You can see this happening. So this is a parallel track development with both of these market parts growing. SVOD, very interesting market segment that we're going to address later on, really sharply going up in the past 1.5 years, and SVOD as well, of course, looking at the revenues. So it's subscribers and revenues going up, and we're going to analyze how and if this is affecting the pay TV, so the legacy market in Turkey. And of course, these are developments that we see in lots of other countries as well, where OTT, in particular SVOD, is grabbing a growing market share. And the question is, of course, at whose expense is that happening? And maybe how can the legacy players remain in presence in their market and remain in this market share and keep their market share. Now, I'd like to ask Ziad first to quickly introduce his company, Türk Telekom, and his role in the company.
Ziad, you're on mute.
Ziad, yes. Thank you.
This has to be happen in every session, right?
The classic had to happen, so it's done now.
Thank you very much. It's a pleasure to be here. Thanks for having me. It's a huge pleasure to be with this valuable panelists and to address to valuable audiences around the world. My name is Ziad. I am in charge of TV and OTT products within Türk Telekom Group, which is the largest integrated telco operator in Turkey. We are the second biggest, largest pay TV operator in Turkey. Thank you.
Baris, you're next.
Hi, I represent TV Plus today. TV Plus is one of the leading connected IPTV in pay TV environment, and moreover, we are also considerable competitor in OTT market in Turkey.
Thank you. Mustafa from Blue TV.
Hello, my name is Mustafa Alpay. I am one of the founding members of Blue TV. Blue TV is the first subscription video on demand service in Turkey, founded in 2016 and officially launched in 2017. And then became operational in Middle East and Africa later on. So I am right now the board member of Blue TV, mainly responsible for international and in Turkey partnerships. Right.
Thank you. Matt from Vodafone.
And I'm Mert from Vodafone TV Turkey, and I take care of our own TV operations as well as the third-party OTT partnerships. And we, in the Turkish market, have a substantial mobile plus a growing fixed business in addition to our TV business. And very happy to be here.
Thank you. Thijs, over to the Netherlands. You're from Meteorological, and I understand you're a service provider, helping telcos and other operators to provide a compelling TV experience.
Yeah, that's a good one. So you did my introduction.
That wasn't deliberate.
No worries. No, you're right. Actually, we help lots of operators, on the globe to integrate and launch their OTT service, both from a technical perspective. I guess we'll talk a little bit about that later on. There's a technical challenge how to onboard these apps, but we also help to aggregate content because, quite frankly, it's not only the operator that has a challenge on how to onboard the apps, but it's also all the content providers that need to do that single exercise with each and every operator all over again. And the third step is we support our operators to set up a successful strategy to monetize OTT. I'm responsible for sales and business development in the Europe, Middle East, Africa, and Asia and Pacific region.
Thank you. And you already mentioned the key part of my first question to all of you, because that is monetization of content. I mean, great content has to be refinanced somehow. It all costs money, especially with exclusive and local content. And as you might or might not know, Turkey is very much a free-to-air market. It has this history, but the same like in Germany and other European markets, it's a free-to-air market. So it's difficult, obviously, for pay TV operators and OTT operators to make people pay for their content. And that is something actually that they have in common. You might think that OTT and pay TV is something that's in different worlds. They have this thing that they have in common that is trying to make people pay for their content. So Ziad, what has been your experience in this aspect?
Yeah, as you well described, I mean, Turkey is a very heavily FTA market. I mean, the penetration of satellite is more than around 70% in Turkey. So, I mean, if you look at the pay TV penetration in Turkey, it's around 30% right now. It's a very low figure in comparison to what the other countries has. To give you some examples, like we know that Poland, for example, is penetration of pay TV is around 76% over there, and Serbia is 69, Bulgaria 62, Croatia 57, even Qatar has 64% of pay TV penetration. Of course, we should look at it. I mean, why is such a gap between the rest of the world in regards to these figures? Is that we see that there is a huge high quality product being offered on an FTA basis. So we know that Turkey is a very one of the leading exporters of dramas and content. It's a huge content hub serving to almost all countries globally. So basically, it's free of charge. I mean, they're too long, more than 3 hours, even 3.5 hours. So it's on an FTA mainstream channel. You can find this. It's a very high quality, high-end quality series and programming. So basically, there is no significant need for people to actually go for it, pay for it. And yeah, as you mentioned, I mean, after the arrival of OTTs, we see that this is becoming even difficult for players, for all players to actually compete, because at the moment I feel like a bombardment of content at the moment, taking into account that Disney hasn't arrived, taking into account that HBO has not launched in Turkey, the local players and other pay TV platforms also active in the OTT area. So basically, it is really, really interesting country. So I think that is enough from my side.
And I think it's interesting what you just mentioned, that Turkey has both the local players in the OTT market and the international players, like, for example, Netflix is already active and quite successful in Turkey. Boris, what's your view on paid content?
I mean, so I want to add on different side. So it is really scary if you look at the content world and the monthly ARPU of OTT and pay TV market in Turkey. Really, it is a bit scary to be in this market. So why are we in this market? So what are we doing as pay TV and OTT brands here? So I think we are trying to differentiate, okay, the taste and the colors of the content, okay. And I mean there are two main differentiation points of pay TV and OTT brands in Turkey. The first one is content, by far, okay. We are trying to give different tastes and different colors that consumer and audience that they cannot find in the free-to-air channels. The second one is user experience and the quality of services. Okay, these are the two main pillars of all of us in this business. And we are trying to differentiate ourselves, especially by these two main categories. And if you really do it well, the two main things, then you will begin to see the output. You will see really the revenue. You will see the number of subscribers.
Okay, so these are the points to consider when you try to become an active player. With Blue TV, Mustafa, you are already an active player and have been for a while. So what are your experiences with Blue TV in Turkey regarding the willingness to pay for content? What's your strategy there?
Yeah, it was like, it was very interesting story indeed. 5 years ago, our founder, Doğan Yalçın'da, we sit down and started discussing why don't we have an SVOD service in Turkey, in a market where there is only, I think, 20% penetration of pay TV, 25 at that time. Basically, people are not paying. In such a market, is it really right to introduce an SVOD service and start something before Netflix was arriving to Turkey at that time? So of course, this was, I mean, a very difficult decision to take at that time. And the first year of our operations, where we were aggregating all content, whatever you can think of. I mean, from all studios, Warner's, Fox, Disney's, and everything you can imagine. It was in Blue TV. Of course, with limited budgets as a startup, we market the product and etc. But in any case, the interest was unbelievably low. I mean, we were projecting like hundreds of thousands of subscribers. We ended up with 6,000 subscribers. So we said that what is going on? So we have to go into the next phase. The next phase was the introduction of our originals. So this first year, which was rather a beta year with lots of content, told us that it is not the business if you just bring foreign content and or maybe the Turkish content, but nothing original. So the next year we did our first production, original production, in such a market where free-to-air is killing, and it is very powerful, and it is very high quality. I mean, the series in the Turkish TV series are very high quality. Only problem in the recent years is it is getting more hours, you know, very long series, but quality has always been very, very high. We did our own original, which is 45 minutes, 8 episodes. And then everything changed. So basically, our story told us that if you have something original, different story, different way of storytelling, people are just turning back and starting to pay for it. That's what we have experienced.
So it's original content, and we're going to talk about this in more detail in a moment. I'd still like to use the opportunity to ask Mert about the experiences you had with making people pay for content at Vodafone TV.
Sure. So our story is a bit similar to our telco, I would say, competitors in terms of trying to create this good user experience plus aggregating other content in addition to free-to-air. So what we try to provide is Turkish consumers already watch primetime drama, but when you serve them with a good service, they would like to watch movies, they would like to watch sports, they would like to watch documentaries too. So you try to get them into consuming more premium content. You allow them to have features that they won't be able to find on a satellite device, like time shift, which they give them the flexibility in terms of their viewership experience. For us, every Vodafone TV subscriber, for example, gets a data allowance for their mobile consumption. So they just need to stay at home to watch whatever they want. So it's a 4-screen experience. So all these things gradually add up, and you start to create this new habit of going into a digital TV. And you slowly, and as Barish mentioned, this is a quite low ARPU market. It is very difficult to charge, but we have always tried to make it as affordable as possible, trying to increase the reach, the footprint, and we believe that eventually the market will be ready to pay for more, and there would be more audiences that would be okay to pay for TV.
That's an interesting aspect you mentioned, with not just the kind of content, premium content, original content, local content, but also the accessibility of the content with things like instant replay, instant restart, time-shifted television, cloud recording, perhaps even. That's where meteorological comes in the picture, because that's kind of services you're enabling through your assistants. Thijs, can you say something about the importance of these interactive features for making content accessible in the most convenient way to consumers?
Yeah, no, sure I can, Jörn. And the point is a little bit. Let me try to keep it, to keep it short, because there's many angles to to this story.
There's room for a whole panel.
Yeah,
So
exactly.
you're right. Let's keep it a bit in the brief version.
So step one is look at your TV service as a marketplace. So I think the trick with OTT is to make sure that you leverage the audience that you currently have, the reach you currently have, to start offering, let's say, additional OTT services. What can we learn from other markets? Nobody likes to stack up 5, 6, 7 different devices in the living room. So what do you do in terms of onboarding the right content and make sure that the content is accessible at the right moment, at the right place, to the right person? That is super key. Secondly, Turkey has a challenge when it comes to ARPU. On the other hand side, it's also an opportunity. If you look at the big reach numbers, I think the trick is to if you look at how to monetize OTT, it's basically 3 steps: build up reach. The second step is to create adoption by adding, let's say, local and niche content. And the third step is monetization. So, the trick is to make sure that you onboard apps in an efficient way and OTT content in an efficient way. So keep the total cost of ownership low. Secondly, make sure that you seamlessly integrate the content into your overall user experience. I think also, to Barry's point, right, UX is key. People are not going to do 5, 6, 7 clicks to get to the right content. That's what you need to solve. And lastly, the challenge I see in Turkey in regards to OTT is normally you need a runway. Normally you need to build up that audience. You need to create adoption. And normally on the pay TV side, you have ARPU, right, to kind of cover that, that runway. And the challenge in Turkey is that the cost that you need to pre-invest in OTT is you need it. And on the other hand side, you need to also monetize quickly. And that's a chicken and egg.
Yes, obviously, that's what to keep an eye on. I can see we've got the first questions coming in, and the first one of those two is actually addressing something I'd like to ask you anyway now, with Ziad going first. What's the strategy of Turkey's local OTT services against big international players like Netflix? I think we've already mentioned local content, original content as one of the key methods to oppose the international competition. But then again, the question goes on and says, what about Netflix being able to scale much of their production costs for Turkey towards, of course, targeting an international audience? So how do you keep track with this kind of, I wouldn't necessarily say threat, but still it's competition growing? Ziad, how would you estimate this?
Yeah, well, I mean, very good question. Not only because of the ARPU level being, I mean, obviously higher in favor of Netflix. I think this is not an equal fight. I mean, because, you know, they are active in more than 190 countries. So basically they can monetize, they can exploit their content. Also seeing that Turkey is a very kind of heaven, production heaven. I mean, because it's very cheap. The currency level, you know, Turkish lira is being very much, you know, unfortunately devaluated. So basically, it's a very advantageous company, and we know that they also opened their production house in Turkey as well. So yes, this is a big advantage of Disney in comparison to the rest, the other companies, the other competitors. But also we know that they need to have a reach, as just, you know, Tiz mentioned, as being the #1 priority, getting the reach. Yes, we know also that pandemic was a huge advantage again. So life is not acting, you know, equally, I think. You know, this was also a huge advantage for their favor. So, but I think still we have huge advantages as well, because, you know, we have this bundling power, because we are a very, I mean, I'm talking about Türk Telekom, of course, for my company, as being the #1 fixed broadband service provider, also being a mobile operator. So adding TV services on top of that, and also becoming very active in-house services such as security, you know, smart home, you know, features as well. And also seeing 5G is becoming also approaching fast toward us. So I see these are very important, you know, tools for us to also compete with them. But still, there should be some, you know, other areas, including content, including, you know, experience product, being a major product service altogether. I mean, we should fight. I mean, we should be more active, maybe. I mean, these are all needed. So it's not easy, not because of the market itself being very original, but also the other general problems. I think these are not generic. I mean, these are not specific to Turkey, but they are very generic issues and common problems.
Yeah. As you were saying, this is not something that's just addressing the Turkish local marketplace. I mean, this is happening to all markets worldwide, where big international companies like Disney, Amazon, Netflix come and launch their OTT services, and not just that, but also launch local productions. Boris, what's your view on this? Is this a threat, I mean, Boris?
Yeah, I mean, so if you look at the, I mean, Western countries, the average person of number of subscription, which is approximately 2.6. Okay, so that means that, I mean, even the local ones or the second or the third ones has still a lot of opportunities, okay, to be in the consumption, in the consumer household. Okay, this is the first thing. The second one is, yes, I mean, although in terms of content investment, and the content monetization, the global players has too many advantages, but this is our market and this is our field, by the way. Okay, we know the Turkish consumers. Okay, we know what they want. We know how to catch them, how to find them. Okay, and as a commercial point, I think we have much strong muscles compared to the global players. Okay.
Yeah.
So if you play good, and really if we try to create strong local brands, I'm 100% sure that we will definitely compete against them. Okay, so let me give you an example. I mean, today, if you see the OTT market, if you look at the OTT market, we see easily that Blue TV and also TV Plus, in terms of number of subscribers, we are really competing with the global players, by the way. Okay, and in terms of the content monetization, I think Blue TV, they are doing a very good job because they are making their own originals. And they are not only monetizing here in Turkey, they are also now establishing and trying to increase their penetration in international Middle East, for example. And they are doing very well. They have good agreement with Saudi Telecom, for example, which is what I heard, Alpay. And really, they are trying to monetize, they are trying to get the revenues outside of Turkey as well, by having their own origins. And it's a very good strategy, by the way.
Yeah, so it's about having a strong local brand, having market experience, market knowledge that puts you in an even or more than even position against the foreign
and moreover,
players.
I don't want to talk about our telco advantages. Also, Ziad and Matt mentioned that. And in addition to that, we have also strong telco powers.
Yeah.
Okay.
So Mustafa, like with Blue TV, what's your strategy in this competition with international players? And maybe you can elaborate on the strategy you're following with Discovery on Discovery Plus.
Sure. Thanks a lot, first of all, Barış, for your comments. That's true, of course. And by the way, your comments on the general, how to make people pay for the service, about it is not only content, but it is the first pillar. The content is the first pillar, but then it's convenience, it is pricing, it is marketing, it is lots of things. So it is not only one single thing that you solve is not the full answer. So you have to be very good at every point, distribution and everything. So in solving all these things, sometimes you do it on your own, sometimes you cooperate. For some global players, this may not be a concern as because of their scale and they do everything on their own. But for a local player like us, we do, out of 4 pillars, we do 2-3 of them on our own, but some other parts with our partners. And that's the way to grow, basically, going to the future. Coming to the scaling of content and how we compete and what is the logic behind it is exactly as Barış said. And thanks God we are in Turkey. Thanks God Turkish content is relevant all over the world. So this is a natural scale for us. So whatever we produce in Turkey, of course, this may not be relevant. All of them cannot be relevant because you sometimes do it very local things, especially on our side. But there is a market which is after for Turkish content. So this gives us a natural scale. This sometimes happens through licensing, sometimes directly reaching to consumers, like in Middle East. We have our own product, we distribute with our partners there so that our content is monetized there as well. But sometimes we license. Even the global players like HBO, Netflix, etc., they buy our content to broad air over the top in markets we are not really available. So this is all possible. I mean, you can see a couple of titles of our titles in Netflix. You can see a couple of titles of Blue TV in HBO Max right now in Latin America, for example. This is possible. So this is good. Of course, coming to your question, in the beginning of this year, we had Discovery as our partner. This is very important, and Discovery not only as a content hub, but also strategically very important. So right now in May, Discovery Plus launched in Turkey through Blue TV. And right now we are talking with our partners here how to make Blue TV and indirectly, of course, Discovery Plus available for all users in Turkey with operators and etc. And in addition to that, we are having the luxury of pioneering or exclusive rights, not necessarily exclusive rights, but having everything under one roof, or for example, Eurosports and everything, Olympics, etc. So these are very positive, of course, for our service. And on top of it, right now, we are the Discovery network all over the world. We are talking about monetizing in different ways, either from licensing or distribution of Blue TV. So Discovery Network is also providing us another platform to monetize our content. And finally, of course, there are some news that in the future, Discovery and Warner Media will come together probably in the next 1 year, etc. I believe this will also have some implications as well. But let's see, we don't know yet, of course, the full implications.
I think that's an interesting strategy when an international player comes and hasn't got much market knowledge of the local market, and then allies with a strong local brand like Blue TV, in your case with Discovery Plus, and then they jointly enter this market. And I think it's quite beneficial for all parties involved, right down to the consumer, because then this is all on a single unified platform with all the benefits these aggregation platforms, that's another key word we have, can offer. And actually, it's the same in Germany, where I come from, that Discovery Plus have allied themselves with Vodafone for the German rollout of Discovery Plus, which makes me come to Mert, because I think in Turkey, Vodafone TV is following a similar strategy with partnerships. For example, you have a partnership with Blue TV, and that, of course, is a local partnership where the local partners gain strength, also, of course, against international competition. Can you elaborate on that, Mert?
Sure, Jörn. So in Vodafone Turkey, we believe that not one entertainment solution could go all the way for a single customer. So we believe that there would be multiple memberships, multiple choices, or multiple subscriptions for any subscriber. So in that sense, we believe that we are both in a competition, but we also believe the idea of complementing and collaboration. So that is the reason that with Blue TV, we did a very good campaign from our end, at least. So we served Blue TV to our mobile subscribers with a promotional period. But while doing that, we also partnered them up on a co-broadcasting project. So they have created an original series, and we co-broadcasted that series simultaneously. So it also comes down to a point in terms of managing the budgets, being a pure local or regional player versus global players too. So alliances in this front is going to be very important for, I believe, everyone in this ecosystem. If you're not a player with couple of $1 billion of content budget, so you need to manage that. And exactly as you say, we substantially believe in an idea of complementing Vodafone TV with other services.
There is that phrase someone once said, you either aggregate or you're being aggregated. So Thijs, is that something, because you have an overview with clients in lots of different markets, it's a development you see in other countries as well, that the local partners team up against the international competition, or that local partners even ally with these international players to kind of make it easier for them to enter the local market, Thijs?
Yeah, I would say 200% convinced the last, because quite frankly, we need to look at it from an end consumer perspective. You need to provide a service that's relevant, right? So we can fight the big global players, but you need to turn it around.
Yeah.
Would your subscribers actually favor your service if you would not provide them with, you know, the names that all have been mentioned? So quite frankly, I think you need to represent basically the global or the major players that your specific consumer market is looking for. Now, the second question is, what is the value add of operators in this whole game, right? You guys know the end consumer. You have an active relation. You send them a bill every month, right? You know what they do. You know what they like. So that's where the value add is. So I don't believe in a story where you fight the global players. I think if you have, from an operator perspective, if you have a good strategy, A, you provide a very easy way to onboard global apps or local apps, and B, you integrate it into one seamless user experience. And 3, you provide the value add to any app or any content provider to say, guys, we'll take care of sending that monthly bill. Because let's be honest, if you subscribe to 6 or even 10 different OTT services, do you want to pull your credit card each and every time? Or do we take the Turkcell remote control or the Vodafone TV remote control and give a 4-digit PIN, and the whole payment is being handled by Vodafone or Turkcell or Turk Telecom? It's about trust. It's about who has the relation and who has the ability to serve me as an individual. And that's where I think it's not a competition. I think you need to have these apps, but you need to make it accessible. You need to outperform in terms of user experience. You need to make it easy.
Making it easy, I think that's the key to that, and that involves all parts of this chain, from the operator down to the consumer. And of course, with Meteorological, you're there to assist the local players in this process. And can you see the first kind of success stories in this already, where players have implemented this strategy, Thijs?
Yeah, I think yeah, it's always a little bit hard to kind of go to details because, yeah, many NDAs on top of that. But, you know, one of the first impacts you see is for example, on in terms of churn reduction, right? Yeah. So if I have a long-term subscription running with my trusted operator, I don't have to go anywhere else because this specific operator offers me the service. That's a first win, right? Second one is NPS. Right, I think it's not a secret. Anyone in operator land definitely has a big interest in getting the raise in terms of customer satisfaction scores. It's a definite impact. Onboarding OTT in the proper way raises your NPS. And 3, yeah, the monetization aspect is still something that's young. I think I also referenced to Mustafa, right? I think we all had a little bit of a journey over the past years, but you see the market maturing. So you see that also the abilities to monetize directly, so selling content, and indirectly, apply advertising models, right, on top of a good OTT strategy, is now taking shape. Yeah, and you see that in many different markets. Correct. Yeah.
Thank you. And now I'd like to address a second question that we've received regarding the structure of the services that you have on offer. And I'd like to expand that beyond just saying, this is what we offer. I'd go further to say, what is it actually what people really use most? Because I think we might be surprised that live TV on OTT platforms is still something that is quite popular. Is that right, Ziad?
Yes, definitely. And I think this is a common figure for, I think, common trend and fact for all players here, I guess. That's why maybe we have very interesting hybrid OTT, products such as Blue TV, because they have also live TV services as well. I don't know if this is common a common product if you look at you know, other countries, but it's I think the main motivation is that still live TV and also FTA is very strong in Turkey. So yeah, I mean, this is, I think, not also this can be also seen on Netflix strategy as well. We see that they are trying some linear offerings based on what people watched previously. So basically creating a linear TV experience on top of their SVOD services. So these are people tend to lean on still. People tend to lean on and watch TV because at the end of the day, it's still a burden for people to actually think about what to watch next.
Yeah.
So I think details are quite valuable, making difference in the competition.
And since you addressed Blue TV directly, Mustafa, can you say something about the amount of live TV that is actually still playing a role?
Yes, indeed. I mean, we are I think, the only SVOD OTT who has live TV service. Definitely, it is always increasing. I mean, live TV usage, because as long as it is becoming part of the service or at home, of course, it's a convenience. Or, it's not a reason people are subscribing to OTT, at least up until now, because right now we are adding live channels like Eurosport, Discovery Channel, which are paid channels. But before, it was not the reason to subscribe to Blue TV, but it was a good to have. So right now, especially during this pandemic period, the share of live TV is increased.
It went up, yeah.
But still a low percentage of it.
Yeah, also I want to add, I mean, as TV Plus also we have on OTT side more than 150 live channels. So, I mean, in a country like Turkey, even you are in OTT business, as a SVOD business, okay, linear channels, I mean, counts a lot still. Okay, but the most difficulty side of linear channels in OTT business is the technical things, okay? Because to broadcast or to stream a VOD is much easier and less costly, okay, to broadcast a live channels, okay?
Yeah.
So our differences as TV Plus, okay, we are, and strongest point is the linear channels in OTT services. Okay, as a technical point of view, really we managed quite well to broadcast and stream linear channels with all the different features like time shifts, etc., etc. Okay.
Yeah. Matt, can you say something about Vodafone and the usage of the different services you're offering? What are people really interested in? Because, I mean, that's for you as an operator is obviously something very important, that kind of user feedback on the usage of services, because that shows you what's most popular and what people and what you can really build on in the expansion strategy.
Sure, Jörn. So we carry around 100 linear channels, of 30 of them are pay, and a couple of thousand VODs, predominantly movies. And still, we are seeing that the majority of the viewership comes from free-to-air, predominantly primetime drama. So this is the ecosystem that Vodafone Turkey lives in. And however, as I also mentioned, the consumption behavior is also evolving. So we are seeing that once someone watches something on a free-to-air channel, the next day you are seeing that they tried out a movie because you basically offer that. So it's in the service. So the aggregation component is becoming more and more important for us. So when it comes to the consumption from free-to-air plus the consumption from VOD, are both increasing.
Okay.
And also different from the global players, I would say, we have the opportunity, I believe all of us here we have live sports, so premium sports. Not the Turkish league predominantly, at least for us, but we have premium sports that dominates a live viewership too.
Sports is something that a question addresses. Why do none of these platforms have local football rights? What's the reason behind that? Because you mentioned it, Mert. Do you know that?
Honestly, the reason is pure economic, I would
Of
say.
course.
The tender was so expensive, at least for Vodafone Turkey, it was almost impossible to buy it, I would say.
Even with the size of a Vodafone empire behind you, it was too expensive.
Still, I would say. Still, I would say.
Does anyone else want to address that issue, the football rights?
I mean, yeah, I mean, definitely local and Turkish football rights is a nuclear bomb for us. Okay, if you are in the pay TV or OTT, definitely, I mean, huge potential. But here the dilemma is what you pay for and what you get for. Okay, so when you make this mathematics, then as Mert mentioned, it's a very delicate issue, by the way. It is not easy. Okay, so for that reason, maybe not for one service, but maybe a multi-consultated companies, okay, may I think manage to get a positive impact. This is what I believe.
Yeah, that's always the problem with football rights. In football, crazy countries like me coming from Germany, it's the same here. There are just prices that are so high that you can't ever refinance that in reality. But of course, if you use it as a marketing expense to promote your service, to promote your brand and all of that, you're playing in a different league. This is a different game then. And of course, there are lots of players who are not willing to pay that premium because they have different strategies or because they don't need that brand building. We don't have much time left, so I'd just very briefly like to ask you a question on the future of OTT, especially in local markets like Turkey, starting with you, Thijs, first. Where do you see OTT in 5 years from now?
Yeah, it's a good question. By the way, I was a bit silent because talking about football and Germans and Dutch people in one call that can be a little bit tricky. But
exactly, there could be an explosion happening.
Talk about nuclear bombs.
Exactly.
Flourish. No, where do we see OTT going in 5 years? I see a much tighter integration of basically linear content and OTT content. Right, make sure that, for example, contextuality, so bringing up OTT content at the right moment in a linear broadcast is supported. A seamless integration of apps in the overall user experience is key. The second thing we see is a technical simplification on how to onboard it, because the cost to onboard an app and the time to onboard an app is too long. So that's another innovation that I see that we need to solve in 5 years from now. And the last point is we will definitely have made some significant steps in the ability to further monetize OTT content in the free-to-air and pay TV domain.
Future is looking bright, but still some challenges. Maybe each one of you, just one sentence, the future of OTT in 5 years.
Yeah, I mean, I can say that I think much more merging and acquisition. What we see. I mean, we see Amazon, yes, there will be definitely a very, the consolidation. Because what we see, Amazon and MGM, CBS and Viacom and Nickelodeon, for example.
So what's happening on international level is going to come down to local level.
Exactly. And now Warner and Discovery. So I think definitely we'll see much more. And more, what I believe also on the local level, we will see that this consolidation as well.
Ziad, do you see it as well like that?
Yes, I think this transition term will give us too much lessons. I mean, to all parties, including OTT players, telco operators, etc. So there will be a kind of mixture of products, mixture of services, mixture of doing business. Reaching out to the audiences. So basically, at the end of the day, I think there will be one single product or one product we call it TV right now, so probably it's going to be TV again. So I think we are not going to talk about OTT, IPTV, or the technical definition of services that we are at the moment relying on. So I think this is
This is going to be a discussion of the past. We'll probably be more focused on content and making it easy accessible in a single user interface. Mustafa, OTT in 5 years.
All right. Basically, OTT will be bigger from what it is right now. But I totally agree that there will not be 10 players in a local market or whatever. It will be
consolidation.
A couple of players. And aggregators, there will be aggregators. I think aggregators will be very important. I mean, in terms of service providing, not doing the OTT business. But in general, standalone OTTs like us, there and Netflix or whatever, these will be a couple of them, and they will turn into like right now free-to-air channels that we are watching. I don't mean that free-to-air will die, definitely will not, and it will be better, but definitely it will be OTT channels will be like free-to-air channel. We will switch from one to another every time.
Thank you. That is interesting to see. In 5 years, we'll know more. Mert, you have the last word.
Honestly, I would echo what Alpay has already said. So I also believe that consolidation will come, and there would be aggregators who will try to kind of make an ecosystem out of that. And I only see growth in the Turkish market for OTT services.
That is a good last word. And let's make sure you all participate in this growth. We'll see where we will be in 5 years from now. Thank you very much for watching this today. I'll wish you a nice day and see you soon again. Bye-bye.
Bye-bye.
Thank you. Thank you.
Bye-bye.